I started Sajara's locks with a technique. There are different names for it, but basically I started it out by doing a messy braid, a mesh braid, and right now her locks are about 15 months old. And the technique is called the mesh braid. It's where you braid the hair. She had a lot of hair. She came with like, wow, hair. And so I parted the hair and I braided it as if it was locks. I braided really messy braids and left new growth. We're going to have to do another video for a mesh braid technique, starter lock technique. Basically what mesh braids does is it allows you to lock any hair texture at any stage, any length. And it helps to lock the hair faster. It locks the hair 6 months faster, and it actually looks like locks immediately after it's done the first time. You can wash the hair regularly as if it were mature locks because it won't come out. And it puts you on the lock journey faster. So there is no, heavy gels to weigh it down. There is, you can wash it regularly. You don't have to wait 8 weeks to wash your hair. It's more sanitary, I feel. And really just depending on the hair technique instead of waiting for the hair to lock. You're making the hair lock itself. You're just training it in a way to help it to lock itself faster. And the reason why it locks faster is because a braid is 3 strands intertwined together. Usually people start out with coil twists or double strand twists. And with the coil twist, they will use like a heavy gel, setting gel, or beeswax or waxy-like product to comb twist the hair, which will just be one coil that goes around, and then they clip that down, and then that style stays for however long and without them washing it, and then the gook and the buildup and everything locks all into the hair all in one, and that is the process of locking hair. And I'm like, that's a little bit unsanitary, and it kind of shies people away from wanting to lock their hair, especially if they're coming from a perm or transitioning or wanting to do something different. It's like, how sanitary is that to leave your hair without being washed for like 6 weeks on end? Like, that's not cool. Because now you're not only locking hair, you're locking dirt. And that's what gives locks a bad rap. It's not cool. So then with the double strand twist, it's 2 strands intertwined. And that's a little bit better and easier, but it doesn't always lock every texture. Your hair would really have to be thick and extra kinky or coily to do that. Like Sajara's hair would never lock with double strand twists. You can see her texture is very fine, very, very fine. I'm just pulling out some of her new growth strands that are straight, but her hair is very, very fine. So if I twisted that together like that, that's not staying. That's just going to curl up and unravel. That would take forever for her hair to lock. So what I did is I grabbed hair that was a medium size, because her locks are medium size. And you want to start out big because as they mature, they will be trained to be a certain size. And they usually get a little bit smaller than what you start out to be because you're constantly giving it maintenance. And not to say that the lock is thinning. It's not thinning. It just goes in different stages of maturity. And as you're training it, it will decrease in size a little bit. So I started hers out with mesh braids. And then after I did the mesh braids, I plaited, which are the plaits. And you can see the parts that I chose to go around the circumference of the crown. once I set all of the braids in, then I wet it again to get the hair, to get the manageability of the hair back. And then I twisted it down as if they were locks. And they actually look just like this when I first did it 15 months ago. And now, now you can see that the lock has formed, and they're maturing, and they're going into their next stage. And notice up to this point, I have not used any gel. None. And it's going to be beautiful.
We people who are darker than blue, are we going to stand around this town and let what others say come true? We're just good for nothing, they all figure. A boy's grown up shiftless chicken. Now we can't hardly stand for that. Or is that really where it's at?
You should definitely be mature, and you shouldn't have, your hair should be healthy. Like, you shouldn't have any real breakage or balding or anything. And a lot of times people think that they don't have to do anything with their locks, and their locks start to break off. But right now your hair is pretty thick, pretty healthy, pretty strong. You can dye them, you can do whatever you want to do. But knowing that that's a chemical that you're using, so you will definitely need to stay on top of your moisture. I mean, you need to do that anyway regardless, because locks tend to be drier than normal hair, because it's, meaning the lock shaft, this part tends to be drier. And people don't really pay attention to that part. People are like, oh, I just need to get my roots nice and that's it. But this is not, because it's just hair regenerating itself and not ever shedding, it locks, and it tends to be hard. You know, you have to keep that moisture. So it can take a dye job or a coloring job, but what the color will do, because it's a chemical, it will strip the hair of all its moisture. It strips the hair of everything. It strips the hair of its melanin and its color. It also takes the moisture with it. And you have to reapply that moisture back into the hair shaft. You have to constantly do deep conditions to keep it nice, so your hair won't start breaking off, so your locks won't start breaking off. You know, you will also find that the lock will tend to be just a little bit softer, as well, because it is a chemical. But you can, as long as you keep it moisturized, it should be fine. With New Day, when you do locks, because you don't need, the oil tends to be a replacement of the gel that you would need. And since it all absorbs into the hair, and it's very good for the hair, I didn't even talk about the base of the oil. The base of the oil is olive oil, castor oil, and peanut oil. That is the base, and they all have moisturizing properties with it. And the scent is frankincense and myrrh. And frankincense and myrrh has a history in every culture to be a healing oil or a protective oil that people wear. And, you know, it attributes to the name in terms of New Day, like new crown. Your crown, your head is your crown. And you would take care of it as such.